Your dog has been scratching. Not the normal after a walk kind of scratching. The obsessive, can't stop, biting at their own skin kind of scratching that keeps you up at 2 a.m. listening to their collar jingle against the floor. You checked. You found the little black specks in their fur, the ones that turn reddish-brown when you wipe them on a wet paper towel. Fleas. So you did what everyone does. You bought the flea shampoo. You gave your dog a bath, watched dozens of tiny brown bodies swirl down the drain, and felt like you'd won. 3 days later, they are scratching again. So you bought the spot-on treatment, the expensive one in the little tube, the one that cost $60 for 3 months. It worked on your dog. Your dog stopped scratching. But then you walked across your own backyard in socks and came inside with bites on your ankles. Because here's the thing, nobody explains to you when you are standing in the pet aisle panicking. Your dog was never the problem. Your dog was just the messenger. The actual infestation, the real one, the one that is going to keep sending fleas back onto your pet no matter how many baths you give them, is living in your yard right now. In the soil, in the shade under your porch, in the leaf litter along your fence line. And I am going to show you how to wipe it out completely with something that costs about $18, treats an average yard, and is so safe for your dogs that veterinary parasitology labs use it in their own research facilities. It is not a chemical. It is not a pesticide in the way you are thinking about pesticides. It is alive. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why treating your dog without treating your yard is like mopping the floor during a leak instead of fixing the pipe. Let's start with the number that changes how you think about fleas entirely. When you see fleas on your dog, you are looking at roughly 5% of the actual flea population in your life. 5%. The other 95% are not on your pet at all. They're eggs, larvae, and pupae, and they're living in your environment, mostly outdoors, mostly in your yard, in the exact spots your dog likes to lie down. Here's the life cycle, and once you see it laid out, the shampoo bottle in your bathroom starts to look almost useless. A female flea lays eggs on your dog. Those eggs are not sticky. They're not attached to the fur. They fall off. Every time your dog walks, lies down, shakes, or naps in a favorite spot in the yard, eggs rain down like salt from a shaker. Under the porch, along the fence, in that shady patch under the big tree where your dog sleeps every afternoon. Those eggs hatch into larvae within days. The larvae are blind. They hate light, and they burrow down into soil, mulch, and leaf litter to hide from the sun and from predators. They feed on organic debris and on flea dirt, which is really just dried adult flea blood, for about 1 to 3 weeks. Then they spin a cocoon and become pupae. And this is the part that explains why your infestation seems to survive everything. The pupal cocoon is sticky, it's coated in soil and debris for camouflage, and it is nearly indestructible. It resists drying out. It resists most insecticides. It can sit dormant in your yard for weeks or even months, waiting for a vibration, body heat, or carbon dioxide, meaning your dog walking nearby, to trigger the adult flea to emerge ready to jump and bite immediately. So when you bathe your dog and kill every adult flea on their body, you have solved 5% of the problem. The eggs are already in your yard. The larvae are already burrowing into your soil. The pupae are already waiting in their cocoons for the next signal to hatch. Your dog walks back outside, lies down in that same shady spot, and gets reinfested within days. This is why people spend hundreds of dollars on flea treatments in a single summer and never actually win. They're treating the passenger and ignoring the vehicle. So how do you kill fleas that are living underground, in a soil layer, hidden inside cocoons, without dumping synthetic insecticide across the same yard your kids and dogs use every single day? This is where it gets genuinely fascinating, because the answer isn't a chemical at all. It's a living organism. It's called beneficial nematodes, specifically a species called Steinernema carpocapsae, and it is one of the most quietly effective pest control tools that almost nobody outside of professional growers and turf researchers actually knows about. Nematodes are microscopic roundworms. They occur naturally in healthy soil all over the world, and certain species have evolved to specifically hunt insect larvae underground. Steinernema carpocapsae is what's called an ambush predator. It waits just below the soil surface, and when it senses the vibration, heat, or carbon dioxide of a nearby host, in this case, flea larvae and pupae, it moves in. Here's the mechanism, and it's almost unsettling in how precise it is. The nematode enters the flea larva through a natural body opening. Once inside, it releases a symbiotic bacteria that it carries in its own gut. That bacteria multiplies rapidly inside the flea larva, and within 24 to 48 hours, it kills the larva from the inside out. The nematode then feeds on the decomposing tissue, reproduces inside the host, and releases the next generation of nematodes back into the soil to go hunt more targets. It is a self-sustaining biological search and destroy system that specifically targets soil-dwelling insect larvae. And here's the detail that makes this safe for your dogs in a way that no chemical treatment can claim. The bacteria these nematodes carry is only lethal inside the specific gut environment of certain insect larvae. It is completely harmless to mammals, birds, earthworms, and humans. Your dog can walk across treated grass, roll in it, eat it, and nothing happens, because there is no biological mechanism by which this treatment can affect a mammal. This isn't a marketing claim. This is why beneficial nematodes are used in organic agriculture, in facilities that grow food, and in university turf research programs where safety data actually gets tested and published. If you've been watching this channel, you already know the pattern. Every video here replaces an expensive, complicated industry product with something cheap, simple, and rooted in actual biology or chemistry instead of marketing. We fixed soil pH with baking soda. We killed broadleaf weeds with iron sulfate. We destroyed antilles with diatomaceous earth. This is the 7th piece of the system, and it might be the one that saves you the most money over a single summer, because flea season doesn't stop, and neither does the vet bill for flea-related skin infections if this goes unchecked. Subscribe right now if you want the rest of this system, because next week I'm covering the mowing mistake that undoes almost everything I've taught you so far. Drop a comment and tell me how many times you've treated your dog for fleas this year alone. I want a number, because I think most of you are going to be shocked when you add it up. Now let's talk about how to actually apply this, because nematodes are living, which means the rules are different from spraying a powder or a chemical. You are not just applying a product, you are releasing a population of living predators, and they need specific conditions to survive and do their job. You will find beneficial nematodes sold online or at well-stocked garden centers, usually as a sponge or clay-based carrier packed with millions of live nematodes, refrigerated to keep them dormant until use. A single package treats roughly 3,000 to 5,000 square feet, which covers most residential yards, and runs about $15 to $25 depending on quantity. Mix the nematode sponge into a bucket according to the package, usually about 1 cup of the concentrate per gallon of water, stirred until it fully dissolves into a cloudy suspension. Load that into a pump sprayer with the nozzle removed or set to the widest possible opening, because these are living organisms and a fine mist nozzle can shred them on the way out. Apply to the entire yard, but focus heavily on the spots that matter most: shaded areas, spots under decks and porches, along fence lines, anywhere your dog naps, rests, or spends the most time outdoors. These are the exact microclimates fleas prefer: cool, moist, protected from direct sun, which happens to also be exactly where nematodes thrive best. Timing is everything with this treatment, more than with almost anything else on this channel. Apply in the early morning or evening, never in the heat of the day, because ultraviolet light kills nematodes within minutes of direct sun exposure. Apply to moist soil, ideally right after light rain or right after you've watered the lawn, because nematodes move through water in the soil. They cannot travel through dry dirt, and dry conditions will kill them before they ever find a target. After applying, water the lawn lightly again to help drive the nematodes down into the soil where the flea larvae are hiding. Then here's the part most people get wrong. Keep the treated area consistently moist, not soaked, but not allowed to dry out completely, for the next 2 weeks. A light watering every day or two is usually enough. This is the single biggest factor in whether this treatment works or fails. Nematodes in dry soil die before they can do their job. Nematodes in consistently moist soil hunt aggressively and multiply. Now, the warnings, because I want this to actually work for you, and I do not want you buying a $20 package of live organisms and accidentally killing them before they get the chance to do anything. Warning 1. Nematodes are perishable. They arrive alive and they need to be used within a specific window, usually a few weeks if refrigerated. Do not buy them and let them sit in your garage for a month. Check the expiration guidance on the package and apply as close to arrival as you can. Warning 2, do not mix nematodes with any pesticide, insecticide, or even certain fertilizers in the same application. Chemical pesticides that are already in your soil from a previous treatment can kill the nematodes before they establish. If you have used a synthetic yard flea treatment recently, wait at least 2 to 3 weeks before applying nematodes so residual chemicals have time to break down. Warning 3, soil temperature matters. Steiner Nema carpocapsae works best when soil temperature is between 60 degrees Fahrenheit and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Apply during a cold snap or in soil that is still frozen or near freezing, and the nematodes will go dormant or die rather than hunt. Late spring through early fall is the ideal window for most climates. Warning 4. This is not an instant fix. Unlike a chemical spray that kills flea larvae on contact within hours, nematodes need time to move through the soil, locate hosts, and reproduce. Expect the first meaningful reduction in flea activity within 1 to 2 weeks, with the fuller effect building over 3 to 4 weeks as the nematode population establishes itself in your soil. This is a biological system taking hold, not a poison working instantly, and that patience is exactly what makes it safe enough to use around your dogs without a second thought. Warning 5. Nematodes target soil-dwelling larvae and pupae. They do almost nothing against adult fleas already living on your dog's body. This treatment handles the yard side of the infestation. You still need to treat your dog directly, whether that is a vet-recommended oral flea preventative, a topical treatment, or a flea comb and bath routine, because adult fleas riding around on your pet are a completely separate battle from the eggs and larvae hiding in your soil. Treat both at the same time, and you break the cycle completely. Treat only one, and the other side reinfests it within weeks. Let me tell you what happened at my house, because I think the timeline matters more than anything I can explain in theory. My dog started scratching in early June. Not the occasional itch, the constant biting at the base of the tail kind of scratching that meant something was actually wrong. I found fleas within a day of checking, gave him a bath with flea shampoo, and watched what felt like 100 of them go down the drain. Felt great for about 48 hours. Then he was scratching again, and this time I found bites on my own ankles after sitting on the back porch steps for 10 minutes. That's when I understood the yard was the real problem, not the dog. I ordered beneficial nematodes online. They arrived refrigerated within 4 days, and I mixed the sponge into a 5-gallon bucket following the ratio on the package. I sprayed the entire backyard on a Tuesday evening after the sun had dropped behind the fence, focusing extra time on the shaded strip along the back fence where my dog sleeps most afternoons and the area under the deck where he retreats during the heat of the day. I watered lightly right after application, then kept the yard damp with short evening waterings for the next 2 weeks, exactly like the instructions said. Days 1 through 5, nothing visibly changed, which I expected because I'd read that this takes time. My dog was still scratching some, though I'll admit I was also doing a daily flea comb session on him during this window, which definitely helped on the pet side, while the yard treatment did its slower work. Underground. Day 7, I noticed something small but real. Fewer flea dirt specks showing up on the comb during his evening brushing. Day 10, the scratching had dropped noticeably, not gone, but clearly less frequent, less frantic. Day 14, I sat on the back porch steps again in shorts, the same spot where I'd gotten bitten 2 weeks earlier, and nothing happened. No bites. By day 21, my dog had stopped scratching entirely. The flea comb was coming up clean multiple days in a row, and I genuinely forgot fleas had ever been an issue until I sat down to write this video. Total cost for the yard side of this treatment, about $20 for the nematode package. Compare that to what a professional yard pest control company charges for a flea treatment, which typically runs $150 to $300 per visit, and most companies recommend multiple visits across the season because their synthetic sprays break down quickly and don't address the pupal stage hiding in cocoons underground. I spent $20 once, and the infestation didn't come back for the rest of the summer. Let's talk about the full seasonal cost of managing yard fleas the way I just described, because this is where the comparison really becomes impossible to ignore. One application of beneficial nematodes covering a typical yard runs $15 to $25, and one application per season is often enough if you catch the infestation early and maintain healthy watering habits afterward. For heavier infestations or larger properties, a second application 4 to 6 weeks later, running the total up to $40 to $50 for the season, will handle almost anything. Add basic ongoing pet side prevention, whatever your vet recommends for your dog specifically, and you're looking at a total yard and pet strategy that costs a fraction of what most households spend, fighting fleas reactively, bath after bath, spray after spray, all while the real population underground keeps regenerating. Compare that to a quarterly professional pest control contract targeting fleas and ticks, which commonly runs $400 to $800 a year, using synthetic pyrethroid sprays that require you to keep pets and kids off the lawn for hours after each application, and that still don't reliably reach flea pupae protected inside their cocoons. The nematode approach costs less, works with your dog's presence in the yard rather than against it, and actually breaks the life cycle at its most vulnerable stage instead of just knocking back the adults you can see. Here's what I want you to take away from this video, because it's the same lesson that shows up again and again on this channel. The fleas biting your dog were never really a pet problem. They were an environmental problem, wearing a pet-shaped disguise. Chase the adult fleas on your dog's body forever, and you'll be buying shampoo and spot-on treatments every single month for the rest of the year, watching your dog get reinfested every time they lie down in their favorite spot in the yard. Or you can go after the 95% of the population that's actually driving the infestation, sitting quietly underground in soil and shade, waiting to hatch. And you can do it with a living organism that is completely harmless to the exact animal you're trying to protect. That's not a compromise. That's the correct target. If you're not subscribed yet, you're missing pieces of a system that's designed to work together, layer by layer, cheap product by cheap product, until your yard runs almost entirely on its own. Drop a comment and tell me where your dog's favorite napping spot in the yard is, because I guarantee that's exactly where your Flea population is hiding right now, and I want to know how many of you already knew that before watching this.